Today I bring you the best 4-3-3 I've personally made in FM24 so far. Not only did it with a quadruple, it won every single game in the league, giving it a 100% win ratio at its best. It absolutely cooks. If you guys do enjoy the tactics, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription, and keep the comments coming on any future videos you want to see, be rebuilds or tactics, anything you want. But let's get into the testing phase. We're going to start from weakest to strongest team today. The first team we're going to test with is going to be Salford in Sky Bet League 2, the lowest division team by far. That is going to be a 7th place predicted team. We have come out and actually only lost 4 games in the league, picking up 110 points, obviously winning the league over MK Dons, over Notts County and Doncaster, and we got to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup against Manchester City. We scored 113 goals in the league and then we conceded 39. Callum Hendry coming in with 40 goals and Connor McLennan with a 7.28 as the highest average rating, while it is going to be Elliot Watt picking up 23 assists. Going over to the team stats, we are going to feature in quite a fair few. Joint first with the clean sheets, the fewest conceded, quite a convincing lead with 39, the most dribbles being made at 738, quite a fair few more than Doncaster, who find themselves in second place, the fewest shots against at 385, and the most shots for at 714. The most goals also goes in our favour at 113, as it's going to be Wimbledon and Stockport and Sutton very close there with 95, 94 and 93. The most points per game, of course, we're going to dominate that because we won the league, so naturally that means we're going to have the most points at 2.39. Data hub wise, very impressive stuff indeed, getting on for 2.5 goals a game, exactly being 2.46, conceded at 0.85, over 15.5 shots every single game, a tackle win ratio of 76.27, and a pass completion, I'm going to give it as 87, come on, 0.1, I'm going to round upwards, 87% pass completion, so very good in every aspect of the game. Up next, and maybe not the lowest league team, but by far the hardest test, I thought, what's the hardest team to play with in the game? Luton Town. Is this going to be the best 4-3-3? It's the best 4-3-3. We got to 10th place with Luton Town, with 0 signings in the first season. I am not going to say that is not impressed me massively, because that is ridiculous in my opinion. A very good season. I will say every single game from this Luton team was simmed with, not played with, was simmed with 100%, to make that very clear. The whole season was sims. The rest of them I played about 30% of the games. This one I just thought, let's see what happens. You can see here, it was not all pretty, let's just be honest, but a 10th place finish with the worst team in the game, I'm going to take any day of the week. Obviously, to be fair, a bit more, maybe a bit of investment we could have got inside of the actual, no, Europa League was a bit of an arse, let's just be honest. But in terms of the team stats, 52 goals scored, 54 conceded, so a lot of the games are going to be very, very close. Jacob Brown with the top goals coming in with 15, and Amari Bell with a 6.96 highest average rating. Now, I'm going to be real, we're not going to expect to be in any of the key stats in this season. This is a very unorthodox team to throw in, but I wanted to prove how good I believe this 4-3-3 is. When you're getting results like this with a Luton team, it just shows the potential it has. So we're not going to look at the stats too much in this one, because it is going to be very 1 goal scored, 1 goal conceded. A lot of the games were very close, 1-0 wins, 1-0 defeats, a couple of blowouts as you can see, but overall a very good season regardless. Next is going to be Young Boys, obviously over in the Swiss Super League, where we actually managed to win the league, get to a semi-finals of a European competition, which is a big accomplishment with a team like this, and unfortunately runners up in that Swiss Cup. I'm not too gutted though, considering how dominant we were in the league. 101 points compared to Lugano, picking up 64. It's going to be Cedric Itten with 48 goals and picking up a 7.44 highest average rating. Lucas Lacomi picking up 18 assists, and Anthony Rasapi picking up a 94% pass completion. We also scored 118 goals and conceded just 27. Team stat wise, we are going to feature in a lot of them, being the most clean sheets at 18, the fewest conceded at 27, possession wise really up there as well with 60% of the ball, the fewest shots against at 276, the most shots for at over 660, the most goals at 118, nearly double if not double of Basel in second place, and the most points per game at 2.66. Going over to the data hub, we are going to look at an astounding 3.11 goals per game, conceded at only 0.71, so very good defensively as well in this league. Over 17 shots a game at 17.747, which is actually 6.72 more than the average in the league. A pass completion of 88.75 and a tackle win ratio coming in of 76.2. So scoring over 3 goals, conceding under a goal a game easy. this tactic's got to cook. It really is. Now, over to the best team of the video. That is going to be PSG, but we actually had the perfect season. Literally the perfect season. We won the Champions League against Real Madrid. We won the French League, the French Cup against Monaco, and the Trophée des Champions against Toulouse. Now, when I say the perfect season, it is literally the perfect season. 34 games played, 34 wins. Very rarely this happens, even with a PSG team. You occasionally lose a game or draw a game here or there, draw a couple. We went a perfect 34-0. And yes, we are using a 4-3-3, which is very consistent in terms of FM, but to do that still speaks absolute levels, considering we also won every other trophy possible. A really impressive tactic, but I'm happy to release to you guys. 142 goals scored and only 11 goals conceded. It's going to be starman Kylian Mbappe picking up 50 goals and nabbing that highest average rating at 8.13. Ousmane Dembele picking up 26 assists, and Keylor Navas coming in with a 97% pass completion. Team stat-wise, we're going to feature in a fair few as to be expected. Most points per game is going to be the perfect 3. The most goals at 142, which is absolutely ridiculous. The most shots for at 695. The fewest shots against 165. Possession-wise, just to prove this is not going to be a possession-based tactic, so don't worry if you have not got them stats in your favour. We're going to finish in third place despite having the perfect season with 56% of the ball. The fewest conceded at 11, which again, very, very defensively solid, and the most clean sheets coming in at 24. Going over to that data hub, we are going to be scoring over 4 goals a game at 4.18, conceded only at 0.32, a mixture of us being on the ball so much as well, 20.44 shots per game, a tackle win ratio of 76.68, and a pass completion of 88.71. But we scored so many goals, we've got to go and have a little look at who got these goals. That is going to be the likes of, as you'd expect, starman Kylian Mbappe with 50, Kolo Muani with 39, 31 for Ousmane Dembele, Vitinha with 15, Gonçalo Ramos with 11, and 10 coming in for Soler, and obviously a lot more contributions as we go down the list right about now. Assist-wise, it's going to be Ousmane Dembele coming in with 26, 25 for Mbappe, even Hakimi with 16, Fabian with 14, 13 for Big Marco, Vitinha with 12, 11 for Mendes, 11 for Hernandez as well. I mean, it's really a treat to see a tactic performing this well in terms of not only the amount of players that are scoring these goals, but also we've got a lot of players coming in with 10 plus assists in the season. And with stat lines like this, I mean, 34 perfect, it's a 34 perfect sweep. 34 games played, 34 wins, quadruple winning season, 10th place for Luton. Hands down the best 4-3-3 I've made so far. Now, obviously the winter update's coming soon, so maybe I'll have to make an up-to-date version of this at one point, but as it stands, this is easily the best 4-3-3 I have played with. Hands down. Let's go and watch some highlights. Obviously, with this PSG team, we got to a couple of finals, and one of them is going to be the French Cup final against Monaco. Quite a strong team over in France, and we absolutely dismantled them in a 4-0 win. Ugarte into Vitinha, through to Mbappe. Such a good start, inside of 8 minutes, bang on actually. And we go again before the 17th minute. Hakimi down the right-hand side, who's going to drive, great ball into the box, into Mbappe, who out-jumps that player, who he really shouldn't have done, to be honest. And it just gets even worse for them. Dembele again before the 38th minute, through into Kolo Muani, back into Dembele, and the passing is so quick, so zip-zap, it can't be stopped, it really can't. Hernandez back into Mbappe on the left-hand side, into Ugarte, into Vitinha, into Mbappe. It's short, it's sweet, it's dominance. And even in the real big games, the Champions League final against a full-strength Real Madrid team, we won that 3-0. Got things going inside of 10 minutes, a poor clearance from Alaba as Dembele cuts in. Good block to be fair, but Hakimi drives, squares it. Again, very unlucky from that Madrid team, but we've got to take it any day of the week. As we go again now inside of 33 minutes, Vitinha playing it into Danilo, a great run, great ball into Dembele. Nothing Kepa can do. Clearly Courtois still not fit for that final. As we go again with Mendes down the left-hand side, into Fabian, into Mbappe, who potentially could end up at Madrid, but bit of a stinger for him at the minute. Of course it had to be against United, didn't it? But we actually managed to beat one of the top teams in the Premier League quite convincingly as well. Yes, we were at home, and we got off to a horrific start. Marcus Rashford cuts it back into Højlund. It should have been a penalty, but Anthony squares it into Eriksen, and at this point I was like, oh man, here we go. It's going to be a 5-6-0, but do you know what? Luton Town, using the attacking variant on this occasion, got back into the game, and we absolutely throttled them. We got back in very early on, only 7 minutes past. Ross Barkley makes it 1-1, and at this point I would have taken a point, but we go again, awful from Fernandez. Brown picks it up, ball over the top, great play, goes alone, Onana beaten again, go 2-1 up, and at this point I was like, let's park the bus, let's seal it out. But do you know what? A set piece always results in a goal, sometimes, I say, not always, but when you need one, it always seems to happen for you. A ball in, into Anderson, and we wrap up a 3-1 win. Of course, now over to your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactical breakdown. If you are enjoying today's video so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and I want to thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. These are going to be new or existing Patreon members. Patreon is a great way to gain some perks to the channel. You get over 10, including access to all 3 of the tactics in one simple download. You get early video and early tactic release. You get priority in the rebuild and the tactic requests. You get one-on-one tactical help. You get an exclusive Discord role. You get access to the current giveaway as well, which is worth around about £120. So definitely worth coming to check it out, because we host a lot of stuff, and you can do so by joining the link in the description, or just simply join on Google and JoshDaly Patreon. Come over, get involved. It's getting on for 1,800 people now. Definitely worth coming to see what's good. But let's talk about the player roles then. So it is going to be a super keeper who is simply going to be on a default instruction. I don't usually make it too many changes to this role, because I don't really want my keeper to come out and play on the halfway line, for example. The wing back on the right is going to be very aggressive on support, on take more risks, sit narrower, and also tackle harder. And obviously the default instruction means he's going to get further forwards as well. 2 ball playing defenders on the right hand side is going to be dribble more and tackle harder, and exactly the same for the left hand side. So even the centre backs are going to be very aggressive. So this is why I was very persuasive and very adamant at the start with how attacking this tactic is. It's a very outscoring based tactic, but with the bigger teams you are going to be very defensively solid, and as you saw with the likes of Salford, we were scoring enough goals to sort of bail ourselves out when it comes to the defensive side of the game. The left back is going to be a wing back on support, on take more risks, dribble more, sit narrower, and also tackle harder. So almost exactly the same as the right hand side, but obviously one little tweak. In the midfield is going to be a DM, the only role in the team I would heavily advise not changing, because having that DM in this team really protects that back four, because obviously some of them are going to be quite attacking in some stages of the game, so a DM is a much needed role, simply on tackle harder. A box-to-box on the left-hand side, again, a very crucial role on support, on take more risks, get further forwards, move into channels, and tackle harder. Really an ideal role in this team, because he's going to naturally drift up and almost sometimes play as a 4-2-3 run, as that sort of DM drifts out to the left-hand side. The box-to-box pushes up, for example, and obviously he is going to come back and also help defend the game as well. And then, not the Mezzala, as you probably expect usually, but a central midfield player on attack, on take more risks, dribble more, move into channels, and tackle harder. So going to play very similar to a Mezzala, but not exactly the same, and I honestly prefer him to a Mezzala in this team. On the right hand side, it's going to be an inverted winger on attack. Obviously very handy having inverted roles in this team, because it means when they get the ball, they're going to cut inside, and the wing backs are going to look to push up and replace them on that right hand side. And the same goes for the left hand side, but an inside forward instead of the inverted winger, simply on attack, on tackle harder. Again, going to be cutting inside, so very helpful. The wing back is going to be overlapping and really getting stuck in. And to finish it off, the advanced forward with 3 custom instructions: take more risks, dribble more, and tackle harder. As you've known from this channel now, I love tackle harder. It's a very aggressive way of playing football, and it wins the ball back a lot of the time. If you are picking up too many bookends, obviously look to get rid of it for the players that are picking up the bookends, but as a rule of thumb, as a whole, I've noticed a lot better results playing with it. Now over to the team instructions, all based off a custom fluid counter-attack style. We are going to go with a positive mentality, The attack and width is going to be set to standard, so nice and simple right there. We're going to go with overlap left and overlap right, while playing out from the back, because we've got 2 very progressive ball-playing defenders, so it makes sense to play with them, doesn't it? It really, really does. We're going to go with a shorter passing directness alongside of a tempo, which is going to be set to higher, so again, very meta-based. Obviously, the higher tempo gets used a lot with meta tactics, and that is because in FM, whether you like it or not, it is a great game, but there are some things, as most games have, which are simply broken and can be abused, and that is going to be the higher tempo and really getting stuck in. That works all the time with the FM match engine. The final third is going to be set to low crosses and, of course, work ball into the box. And because it is so attacking, just based off the default variant, I've not gone for being more expressive or run at defence, because I don't really feel like we need either of them for the default variant. In transition, again, very meta-based. We're going to go with counter-attack, counter-press, distribute to anybody across that back line while taking short goal kicks. Again, we want to build out from the back, because we've got a very attacking back four. They all need to be good on the ball. So again, that is one thing I'm going to say to you and make it very clear. If your players aren't good on the ball, do not have them dribbling more, because you're going to be forcing them into mistakes. So unless your players are good on the ball, complete waste of time, but hopefully you guys have got players that can do it. If not, simply get rid of dribble more and it will play exactly the same. And now over to out of possession, probably the big surprise of the video, where you probably thought you were going to be expecting to see the high press and line of engagement. You're not going to be seeing that. You are going to be seeing a mid-block. Something I toyed with at the start of the year because I was convinced it was really, really good in this game. And it really is. With a 4-3-3, it's by far my most favourite way of playing. With that mid-block, with the standard line, we're still going to max out the trigger press. We're going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution. So we are going to be getting really stuck in and really play an aggressive way of football while maintaining the mid-block. So a bit of an unorthodox way of playing football. You're probably used to seeing the high press and line of engagement. But trust me, it absolutely cooks. And we are also going to get stuck in. Let's not forget about this Salford team, though, when we dismantled a lot of teams, to be fair, in this league. A 6-0 win here in the league, playing it across very nicely there into Garbutt, who's going to cut back in, actually. I thought he was going to have a crack then. Took it out wide, drifted it back inside, and it's what this tactic does so well. I want you to pay attention to the amount of attack and players going forward right now, which is why we scored so many goals, because there's endless attacking options. I mean, we're seeing here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that were obviously on that forward push. A ball inside into McLennan, who's going to drive it across, and it's simple but effective. A great ball into the box. Hendry gets his goal, and again, we're seeing it again. So many options to play for. McLennan on the right-hand side going to do exactly the same, driving it back inside, and Ashley plucks it into the top left-hand corner. A lot harder of a finish than what it probably appears right there. Shepherd back to McLennan, into Hendry, ball across, and we're making this Salford team look a bit like Manchester City right now. Garbutt with a fantastic set-piece back stick into Tilt, a very interesting name there, and the last goal here coming from Watson into Lund, driving it through into Bolton, who's going to run at everyone and finish off the job himself. And that's to be expected with a young boys team who are by far one of the best teams in their division. We had a few games like this, the 5-0s, the 6-0s, as you can see, full of confidence, full of spark, nothing the opposition could do. We were high pressing, we were winning the ball back, literally unstoppable in this league. A great finish there, obviously from Itten, who scored, was it 50-odd goals? A sensational season for him, regardless of whoever he is, because I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of the guy, but clearly doing his job to quite a good standard with this amount of goals. Might actually get a hat-trick in this game, to be fair, as the 4th goal goes in there from a great set piece to complete his hat-trick. As I just said, I don't know who he is, no disrespect there. And one more goal here from Janko on the right-hand side, playing it back into the middle, a ball back stick, and them goals look so good, man, they really do. But of course, as always, we are going to go over an attacking and a defensive variant to take into the games, whether you need to chase a game or defend a game out. You can download all 3 of these from being a Patreon member, as I do like to say, but obviously you can simply download them click for click, which I would recommend doing as well, because it's very important you have all 3 of these to take into your games. But the attack and variant, there isn't going to be too much of a change, because obviously it's already very attacking, but we are going to go over it and explain any potential changes. The advanced forward is going to remain the same, and the inside forward and the inverted winger do remain untouched, because I didn't really want to change them because they were doing so well in the default. I didn't want to force them to have shots just for the sake of it. The central midfield player is going to remain untouched on take more risks, dribble more, move into channels, and tackle harder. The box-to-box is going to be very aggressive as well on take more risks, get further forwards, moving into the channels, and tackling harder. The one change I could make is going to be the register. Instead of the DM, a very much more progressive midfield player in that midfield triangle, and honestly, a real big change having him in. He's going to be a very roamy player, roaming about, getting the ball, retrieving the ball, plucking it around, and really progressing with the attacks in the team. The wing-backs do get a bit of a change. Both of them are going to be on attacking, on the same instructions, but taken from support to the attacking duties, and obviously the ball-playing defenders remain unchanged because they're already going to be dribbling more, so I couldn't really change too much. Team instruction-wise, the mentality is going to be set to attacking. Just to clarify that, we're going to go with a fairly wide overlap left, overlap right. We're still going to play out from the back because we've got two very progressive ball-playing defenders. The only real change is actually going to be, we're finally going to use the be more expressive, because although it's a very attacking tactic, and I do want to make it very clear that obviously this is a very risk-taking tactic for when you are a goal or so down, having been more expressive on makes all the difference, especially with that front three when they've got a little bit of freedom to do what they want. I've really noticed the change, so I would recommend utilising it. In transition, the only change is obviously going to be distribute quickly. And lastly, out of possession, we're going to keep the mid-block because it works so well. It really does in the offensive and the balance variant of this tactic. And we are going to whack the line up a little bit to a higher line to really push the team up. They're going to be quite close together now, I will say, which does usually mean a lot better possession stats. To clarify that, we're going to go much more often on the trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and of course we are also going to select get stuck in, because we love a challenge in this team. We love a challenge. And lastly, I've taken this 4-3-3 and turned it into a very defensive and somewhat negative defensive variant, and that is because regardless of whether you like it or not, you need a tactic that is going to defend games out for you, and this will get the job done. Trust me. So the advanced forward is going to remain simply unchanged. The inside forward is going to remain a little bit tweaked. He's going to go on support, simply on tackle harder. The inverted winger is also going to be on support, simply on tackle harder. So two very basic inverted wingers that are going to obviously go forward and score goals, but also are going to naturally come back and defend as well. The box-to-box is very, very tweaked indeed. He's simply going to be a default box-to-box on support, and a very central midfield player on support, again, simply on a default instruction. A very low risk midfield who are going to get the ball movement, so like the box to box is going to go forwards, he is going to help attack, but also got a very big focus on the defensive side of the game, as you are going to see a DM coming in on defend, simply on tackle harder. When it comes to the defense, again, a very similar mindset was provided, a very risk-free sort of back four whose main job is to defend, but obviously because them inverted wingers and inside forwards aren't on attack now, they still needed to go forwards, so the wing back is going to come in on the default, get further forwards. The ball playing defenders, both of them get stripped of the dribble more and tackle harder, a much more resilient and calm pairing at the back, simply on the default, and the wing back on the right, on the left, sorry, how have I got my right and left mixed? On the left is going to be the same as the right-hand side, so a very risk-free back four compared to the default and the attacking variant, but that's what you need in a defensive variant, a bit of calmness. Team instructions are always going to be quite a big change, so the mentality is going to be dropped to balanced, and we are going to see a big change as you're seeing on your screen. And let me explain why, instead of just copying them. You need to understand why, because it does change the system a lot. So we're still going to overlap left and overlap right, and we're still going to play out from the back, but I've now transformed this tactic into a very aggressive, free-flowing, direct almost tactic to a possession-based tactic, which is going to look to pass the ball side to side and suck the life out of the opposition, which is why we're going to go with much shorter for the directness, a slightly lower tempo. We're going to time waste sometimes. We're going to dribble less. This sums up a possession-based tactic, or a controlling tactic, should I say. Work ball into the box and low crosses. In transition, very basic. Regroup when possession has been lost. We're going to come back and defend as a unit. And when the ball has been won, we're not going to hit on the break right away, and also we're not going to be stagnant and just hold our position. We're going to leave it unticked, which results in a very sort of frustrating side-to-side passing style, which runs the clock down without you even really knowing. We're going to slow the pace down and play to anyone across that back line while taking short goal kicks. And lastly, it has got to change a little bit because there's a lot more of a negative system. The mid block would be a little bit too negative, so we are going to go with the standard line, the high press line of engagement more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. And that's just going to give you a much more of a calmer 4-3-3 that dominates the ball and really frustrates the opposition. And that's going to give you in total 3 variants of the best 4-3-3 that I've made so far personally. Honestly believe that it's really good. It worked really well with the top teams, and obviously a team like Luton, who are very frustrating to play with, and we've got a 10th place finish, which I don't think anyone can really turn a nose up at all. And again, you can get all 3 of these from the Patreon, or obviously by simply clicking click for click and applying them to your own saves. And I would recommend you do this because it does make the process a lot more simpler instead of clicking at click for click every single game. Just do it once and you can obviously take all 3 of these into your games and switch between each 3, and hopefully you guys have a ton of fun with it, because I know I did. If you guys have enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like, drop a little comment below on any videos you want to see next, and subscribe. It's completely free. We're on the charge now for 20k. We all want to see it, the big 20. I'll see you boys in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day.